Okay, hi everyone. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Malcolm Maxwell, the author of How to Get Ahead with Resumes Revised and How to Get Ahead with Resumes in the Modern Age. I'm just reaching for my chair so I can see my little script. I want to talk about in this video something that I feel is very, very important. I believe many people will think in terms of, oh, it's been talked about so much, what's the point of talking about it again? I believe it's still relevant. It's a relevant topic, excuse me, no matter where you'll see it. And that topic is really the issue of what to wear for an interview when you're going for an interview, right? And I know that's redundant. Anyway, the point being is the most popular belief in regards to being dressed for a resume is that you should dress for success. You should dress in a manner that is going to shape your trajectory for what you want to go for. So for instance, if you're applying for a job in housekeeping, I would say, but that's not where you want to be. You ultimately want to be like in middle management. I would suggest that you show up in a manner that makes sense. In my book, actually, I wrote in How to Get Ahead with Resumes in the forward, I actually wrote about an incident that I personally experienced. And that was I showed up at a job to work in laundry. And the day that I arrived, I was wearing a blouse, I was wearing a skirt, I was wearing a little scarf, something that I'm known for wearing. I tend to wear scarves. And I was wearing a decent pair of, I was wearing a pair of flats for the job because I didn't want to go in with heels. I thought that would be a bit much. And although my hair color was a little bit unconventional at the time, I still showed up and I, came with that position in that manner. And when I arrived at the business, I was greeted by the receptionist, and the receptionist thought that I was someone who they were expecting. And so they had never seen this person. They just knew that this person had a title, this person was coming to their building, and this receptionist got on the phone. She called everybody, every person on the board. She called the director of the facility. Everybody came. They all met in the conference room. The receptionist comes over to me and she says, "Okay, we're ready for you." I come into the into the office, the receptionist, how do you call this? The conference room. Long table full of people, all kinds of people, every title, every director of every division was sitting there. And I looked and I remember going like this and going, wow. And so they said, "How can we help you?" And I said with my strongest voice possible, because I was relatively young, I said, "I'm here for the position, to apply for the position of laundry worker." Everybody at the table sat there and they were all shocked. And everyone you could see like on their face, they're like, "Wait, really?" And so I had that look like, well, okay, so let's get down to business. And so after a couple minutes of conversation, they asked me about my work experience and what did I know and so on and so forth. I knew nothing about laundry, but I was confident that I was going to get a job, and that was the bottom line. And so they actually ended up offering me a position that I did not apply for, and for a position that I was not even aware of was an actual position. So that's how I started my work career. And so knowing that about what I've gone through, I'm very, very adamant about people dressing a certain way for interviews. And I understand the impact that the proper dress can make on an interview, on the ability to get a job, whether it's a job that pays this rate or you want a job that's going to pay this much, or somewhere in between. The point being is that if you treat every job that you're applying for in a manner that shows that you have respect for that, but you actually have more goals, then this works. And I like I said, I know it for a fact because I've done it not just only once. I've done it throughout my whole career, and actually more recently, I applied for a position after not working for anybody else for several, like for a good couple years, a good couple decades of not really working for anybody, or at least a decade. I remember doing the same thing, pulling out the same concept. Let me show up. Let me see if this is still working, So I put on my best at that time for whatever it was that I had was my best, and I showed up. And yes, the person looked at me, they were surprised. The thing was, for the title that I was applying for, I believe I was underdressed. And so, but I did give off the casual enough appearance for the environment. And I was very grateful for the opportunity to have been hired there and to work with what seemed to be what is actually an amazing group of coworkers. So that was cool. But yeah, before you say anything, it's your appearance that's really going to speak volumes, and that's going to let whoever it is that's trying to interview you and then eventually hire you know that you are perfect for the position. And so I guess the next thing to talk about while we're on the subject of interviews is that, does the first impression really, really matter? Or why does the first impression really matter? And I think the one thing that everyone says is that dressing for interviews is very, very important, because the minute you walk into said facility, said business, whoever is there representing the company is already forming an opinion of you. So the way that you open the door, or the way you approach the desk, if you say hi to people, the way you said good morning to someone, all of these things are going to be other contributing factors. But the very, very, very first factor is when that person looks up and they see you. And it will affect also that person's perspective or of how professional you actually are. And it will also reflect if you pay attention to details. And those two elements will let a potential employer know you will fit this role or you're not good for this role. So it's very, very important to look nice, even though most people don't really think that it makes that big of a difference, because ultimately looking nice shows that you are competent, it shows that you are confident, it shows that you have respect for the opportunity that you are being given. And although, it sounds kind of haughty to think, oh, how dare this company thinks that, they're somebody great. Ultimately, they are giving you an opportunity. They are investing in you. And so you want to show that respect, or at least for the fact that they considered you to be someone of worth that they want to invest in. Even if they choose not to go with you and they hire someone else, the point being is that you showed up in that manner. And that's always going to be something that will stay in the mind of the person who interviews you. Another contributing factor for how to dress for an interview is to know your industry. If you're going to corporate, or if you're going into that strong business environment, then you got to think suits. You think suits, you think dress shirts, you think ties, formal blouses for women, shoes that are polished. These things are important. Those are the staples for the industry. And if you're dealing with people from that industry, whether you want to believe it or not, you already have that preconceived image in your mind. So you're going to want to see them show up that way. If they don't show up completely that way, you're going to be taken aback by it. You're going to be like, whoa, am I really dealing with someone from this particular environment? Am I really dealing with someone from corporate? Am I really dealing with somebody who's coming from a business background? Am I really dealing with, somebody from a legal, or, you know what I'm saying? Any of those structured office environments, you're really going to go, I'm not sure about that. Even when they are in their casual mode, but you're going to really see them more in their dress mode as opposed to their casual mode. But then you go into something like business casual. Business casual is a great dress for, let's say, the education area, healthcare, even everybody who works in healthcare, it doesn't matter if you're the receptionist, if you're the occupational therapist, if you're the director or the employee of recreation, or what it's called today, life enrichment. The point being is that there's going to be a certain level of business casual you would expect to see from them. You more expect it from the supervisors, the managers, if you will, or the directors of those divisions, but you do want to see it on the employees as well. And in the business casual in that environment, for the men, would entail, a nice button-up shirt, uh, plain colored pants. For the women, you would expect to see blouses and slacks, or a blouse and skirts. I tend to wear t-shirts and skirts when I held that position, and that's my business casual. I absolutely love pencil skirts when they're not too tight, because right now it seems a lot of them are way too tight. So they're cut that way, and they're very, very form-fitting. I'm not sure that is the best look for the business casual environment. I tend to like to wear suit jackets with, casual bottoms, whether it's a slacks or it's a straight skirt. But I like to have that look. And in terms of shoes, because I worked more recently in healthcare, I had to wear sneakers. It was a requirement in one of my facilities and not a requirement in the other. But the point being is that real shoes was just really not a thing for me this last year. Prior to working for other people, I just kind of put whatever I wanted. When I went to meet people, I did my best to wear real shoes, because I think that's very important. It shows that you're conscientious of your image. And business casual, if you ask me, is actually very, very good for people who run their own businesses as well, especially when you have to go into facilities, or you have to go into businesses where the people that you're going to be interacting with are going to be dressed business casual. It makes sense to kind of show up business casual, which brings me to my next type of dress for an interview, which is for the creatives, and that tends to be a little bit more on the casual side. And now, before anyone jumps down my throat, people go, oh, but creatives, they usually wear just t-shirts and slacks. I personally believe that creatives should still show up as business casual, because although they are creative, it shows me, the business owner or the prospective business owner, that you respect my environment and that you respect the opportunity to work alongside me, at least initially. Even if you show up after the interview in your t-shirts and your bright colored hair and it's like sticking all over the place, and you've got like funky bracelets everywhere, and you've got very interesting dress, it's okay. But that initial interview, I would expect you to still show up. And I believe it's very, 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 very important to do that. A lot of people call the creatives not just your artists, but they're also your marketing people, they're the design people, they're the entertainment people. I believe they should still show up with some type of business casual. So that could be either a jeans for the male or the female, or a tailored dress for females. I believe even if it's a t-shirt, you come with a blazer or a jacket of some sort, or a cardigan, to show that you do have some personal style, because obviously as a creative, you're going to want to have that, and you want someone to see that that's where, that's how you operate. But yet you're also there to show that you respect the space. Now, another element towards that contributes to having great interview dress, I would say, is making sure the outfit fits. A lot of people, it seems, are very, very conscientious, or very self-conscious, I guess is the word, of the way things fit on them. I've always been taught that outfits must fit to the best of your ability. Now, when you're picking your clothing, you want to make sure that it sits on you correctly. The sleeves or the top of the shirts are not hanging down too low, because then, obviously the shirt's too big, or the sleeves are way too long, unless you fold them up and it looks kind of neat, because I do that too. I like to wear them sometimes really long, where they kind of reach my fingers, but I know that I just fold the cuffs up and I wear it with a sweater or something like that to make it look really cool. But I think that's very important. You want to make sure your clothing are not too tight. and you don't want them to be too loose either. And the rule of thumb is that if you can't comfortably sit in your outfit, male and or female, if you can't sit down and the pants aren't like chafing your crotch area because they're that tight, that means that's not something you should be wearing for an interview, because you need to be comfortable. You need to feel confident in whatever you're wearing. And so that's very, very important. I know a lot of people usually run out and go get this new outfit, and then they go, oh yeah, I'm going to wear this tomorrow for my interview. But they've never worn it before, and so you can actually see how awkward they may feel in it. So that's something else that you want to consider. I think another topic that people don't talk about when it comes to job interviews is color and accessories. If you've ever noticed my videos, I tend to wear black a lot. And the reason for that is because years ago, I just got lazy and decided, okay, black, it's the color that always looks clean. And so I'm slowly trying to take myself out of it. But yes, you want to come up with colors that are worth showing up for. The funny thing about black is that black is also color that represents power, and it's a very dominating color. My first preference, however, is actually dark blue, but for a long time it was kind of hard to find things that were dark blue, so I went with black. When you're going to an interview, you do want to show up with colors that are nice. A lot of times people say that it's better to show up with neutral tones, because that's always a safe color, and it also can it can convey a level of professionalism and authority. So I don't know, that's really up to you that in terms of that, but you do want to show that neutral colors like black and black and navy rather. Dark gray, I would say, does the same thing. And so those are the colors, those are the standards in terms of showing up and being able to show up as, I guess, the authority of whatever it is that you're trying to apply for. In addition to those neutral colors, using a pop of color, if you will. So like a bright tie to brighten it up a little bit. This way you don't look so drab. A blouse that has some color to it actually shows that you've got flair or you've got some creativity. So you don't really want to wear neon colors though, because that's something that just seems to distract people. So, but you do want to be able to show that balance between professional and, personality. And then your accessories, they say keep them simple. A necklace, a bracelet, some earrings. See, I am wearing earrings. I'm wearing one bracelet. Usually I have another bracelet that I tend to wear. And sometimes I'll go with a belt. Today I'm without a belt. But as you can see, very simple. It's a form-fitting outfit, which I'm not sure would make total sense to wear, but I have worn it before. I would say the pencil skirt should probably be a little bit looser, but that's just me. And also, by the way, my outfit is compliments of Hygiene.com, so you can always check them out for it. And for other professional ideas, they have a lot of work ideas there as well. So that's what you want to do. Those pieces of accessory actually enhances a very boring outfit. It can make you look less aggressive, if you will, because colors like black and blue give off that, hey, you have there's a boundary around me, I'm the authority and you're the, whoever, you're the next person over. And so a lot of times things like colors of scarves or a bright colored tie or a piece of interesting jewelry offsets that. It makes it a little bit more softer. It makes you feel approachable, even though you are an authority, which is what you want while you're at an interview, actually. A lot of people don't think about that, but those are the things that talk about, that that speak volumes for you. On a side note, not necessarily interview related, one of the things that I've learned over the years is that people say, even in the dating world, when you go out into public places, if you come dressed one way, some people will approach you, but if you come another way, another group of people and sometimes more people will approach you. So you want to keep things like color and accessories as an important tool while you're dressing and going out in general. Shoes and personal hygiene, I would say, are the next contributing factors, which would be the fifth of the factors. I may be wrong. You'll have to go through them. We'll check that out when we finish. And the shoe issue is really simple. You just make sure that your shoes are polished, or without dirt or whatever it is that you're wearing, whether they're boots, whether they're flats, whether they are heels. They say professional heels would be something that are closed toe, not too high, and those are ideal for women. Anything like sneakers or sandals are usually considered too casual, but I think post-COVID, you can still wear a really, really nice dress and a pair of sneakers and show up as a dress casual. Believe it or not, I've seen it and it works very, very well. And depending on what field you work in, sneakers are a requirement. So yes, you just kind of use your mind, use some discernment in terms of how you're getting dressed for your interview. Final touches, I believe, would be to review what we've talked about so far, and that is just to make sure that whatever you choose to wear, it fits. It can be tailored, but it doesn't necessarily have to be tailored. But I would say it makes sure that the fabric sits well, on you, on your body frame, and that's really it. So it looks good on you. When people are looking at you from a distance, it's like, oh, that person looks professional. Not what the heck? Where is that person? They're drowning under all of this. You put it where you can give off the right impression, I guess. And I'm saying the same thing over and over again because for some odd reason my mind is just not giving me the words that I really need. Colors is another thing besides fit. Color is very important when going for an interview. Stick with the neutrals, which is your navies, your dark grays, your blacks. Then you add pops of color to show your personality. If you're creative, your colors are going to be really bright and whatever, or they may go to the more darker side. Point being is that you do that. Your accessories and your shoes should be appropriate for the outfit and for where you're going. They could be minimal. They should be minimal. You really should not have an armful of bangles jingling, while you're talking to somebody, because that jingle up and down on your arm is really, really a big distraction. Having these huge earrings that just like move around and the person sitting across from you, their eyes are going like this, like they're being hypnotized. Like, you don't need all that kind of stuff. Busy colors. What I'm wearing is technically a busy color, but I have it toned down with a dark skirt and my hose and my shoes are dark. I'm not kicking up my legs to show you, but trust me, my legs and so from my waist downward, everything is the same color, and that is really just to balance the fact that I did wear this bright personality piece, and my hair is a personality piece. That's where my creativity usually shows, in the color of my hair. And so a lot of times I will wear all black because I know that I have this pop of color, whether it's this color or darker versions of it or lighter versions of it. The point being is that I still want to show up as a professional and give off the professional appearance that's needed. And so for me, that's the way I found to do it. And then, of course, we know that you want to make sure your nails are clean. They look neat, male or female. They don't have to be polished. You don't have to have these outlandish colors and long, long nails if you're a woman. If you do, more power to you. But the point being is that, you just make sure that they're done, and that's really it. The other thing that I would like to say is makeup. A lot of women these days, especially now that since there are so many videos that are teaching people all these wonderful tips and tricks on how to make themselves up more than what they used to be, because some of it was in the past. It's a wonderful thing to see women wearing makeup, for those who choose to want to. But I would suggest, again, you keep that to a point where you're showing up. You're not going to a party, you're not going to a photo shoot, you're going to an interview. And so I personally believe that makeup should look more natural. I believe makeup is a wonderful enhancement for women and in the occasional male too, because sometimes they need to fix those imperfections, especially if they're not feeling comfortable with it. And depending on the job, it's a requirement. So yes, I think that's very important, and it's something that women should actually definitely keep in mind when they are presenting themselves at their interviews. I've noticed that a lot of people do the basic black and white when they're showing up for interviews, because that, for some reason, that works well, and especially in healthcare. And I found it very funny that in all black and either all navy or navy and white, or something like that shows up. So you want to keep those things in mind. I'm always looking in magazines and stuff to get other ideas on what colors really go great with navy and black and charcoal or dark gray. And so to sum all this up, I hope that these tips in regards to dressing up for an interview just serve as a really great reminder. And I don't believe it, but I know it, that if you do follow these tips, you can land a job, a good job. And I would say take it one step further. When you get the job, and if you want to move up, then what you do is you would start dressing to meet the next role that you're attempting to advance to. So, and you want to do that within means. Sometimes you show up, but your job is not allowing you to dress a certain way. So, for instance, you're a server, a food server, but you want to be a food server the dining room manager or something like that. So, yes, during the day you're going to be wearing a uniform, but when you come to work or when you leave work, you can add elements to that uniform to make you look more professional and give that impression that not only are you a server, but you aspire to be a manager one day. And you're going to do that because you're going to dress with a jacket, or you're going to wear real shoes when you're leaving. Your accessories are going to be minimal, but you're going to look great. And so that will be very important for you. If you are interested in watching or hearing more tips, then please subscribe to my channel, and you will be notified as soon as I deliver more content. I would like to hear from you, so feel free to leave comments in the boxes below. And if you're interested in knowing more about some of the clothing that I wear during my videos, you can always check the description box as well. And for now, that's really about it, and I will see you in the next video.